A paper conservator within the conservation field, we're really quite specialised, and so there are a large variety of conservators who specialise in paintings, textiles, ceramics, sculptures, ethnographic materials, and I specialise in paper. My broad area of specialisation is paper, and my sort of main area is prints, drawings and watercolours.
We found the work at a person's place, and they've had it in the cupboard now for the last 30 years apparently, and it was in a frame, in a wooden frame, as it was given to them, and it had deteriorated quite badly, had wooden panelling on the back of it that I think hasn't helped the artwork, but so we've carried it back here using that to stabilise the work, but then I've taken it out of the frame.
Quite a lot of the damage to the artwork is actually as a result of the framing. At some stage, did it have glass on it when it came? It did, yeah. Because at some stage it must have had no glass. We can see this because of the insect damage across the front, and especially in this area here we can see silverfish have actually kind of munched their tracks through the board. We can see that it's also has had a lot of exposure to light. So this area here would have been underneath the rebate, which is why it's lighter. This area here, although it's a mottled colour, is much darker. And because the window mount is of a very poor quality material, it's discoloured a lot. The mottled overall look of the window mount is due to a number of things: the insect, light damage, and obviously it's had some water damage on it as well. The work is adhered into the window mount. The bottom edge is actually slightly loose, but originally it would have been adhered on all four edges. And if we just very quickly turn it over, this shows a little bit more. So we can see a lot of surface dirt, the sort of yes, dust and that type of thing, and we can also see exactly where the panels for the timber were. And these timber panels have contributed enormously to the deterioration of the work. If we go on to look at the artwork itself, the first thing that we can see is that it has an overall browning look, and that would be partly probably to do with the materials that have been used, the paper quality, but secondly you can see that it's also a light damage. I'm just going to turn this round just because the area that's easiest to see is if you just look under here. Can you see the difference between there's a line, the line where the window mount goes up to, and sort of underneath the window mount, how much lighter it is. And so poor quality materials do really respond badly to light, and
so the artist would have been. We know that he was up from Sydney, so he would have been a travelling artist, and obviously to paint something out in the water by the look of the view, it would have been quite difficult. So he would have only had a small amount of materials with him at the time.
Yes, that's right, and also those materials would have been reasonably expensive. So he wouldn't have wanted to waste them on a large piece of work.
Yeah, you know. Exactly. But saying that, the colour and what have you of the artwork looks actually pretty amazing to me. With that damage.
It does. I do slightly wonder whether, in fact, when it was originally painted, it was extremely vibrant.
Okay. Yeah.
And that while it still looks quite balanced, whether in fact it has lost colour, but it's just not as evident. Yeah. We can see that he used quite a limited palette. He's used the blue, he's used a yellow, he's used a small amount of black and a blue and a white highlight that he's sort of mixed in, and some red. He's used a little bit of red. So here we can see the swabs that I have taken to test the fugitivity of the medium, and we can see that the yellow on the left-hand side is really quite unstable. We then have the brown, which is also offsetting, and a little bit of the red. The one on the far right is the blue, and we can see that there's very little offset, and it actually is quite stable. Quite often with watercolours, especially when they're an older watercolour, the pigments actually become relatively stable. And paper in its production stage is made with a large amount of water, and with careful handling, in fact, quite likes being washed. And we can see that this has a lot of surface and in-grain dirt and things like that. And if the medium was able to tolerate it, then washing would do an enormous amount of improvement.
Okay.
However, obviously the most important thing is the medium, and you don't undertake any treatment that's going to even possibly disturb it. Yeah. Within the artwork itself, we can see quite a lot of areas of damage. I might just use this to point out. I think the most significant one is this lighter area here, which was probably at some sort of insect dropping. And it's actually, in a way, almost bleached, or it maybe even protected the paper. I think you'll probably find that this is more of the colour that the paper was originally.
Okay.
We can see that there's a small tear and some sort of creasing above it that has been repaired. There are quite a lot of scratches. And abrasions, and especially down here. And that's also because the work is so undulating as well, that any area that's raised would rub.
So in the treatments and what have you, are you able to flatten that out?
Yes. So that would be one of the things to do. The other areas that there's sort of a bit of problems. So there are some sort of little bits of sort of embedded particles, and what else did I think? The pigment itself, because often zinc white can be quite unstable. It looks very stable. There's no cracking or lifting or losses or anything like that. So that, from that point of view, it's very good. So when I was sort of considering the treatment, I think that the first thing would be to remove the window mount. And underneath the window mount, I can see that there's a certain amount of residue from the back of the window mount, and also adhesive as well.
Yeah.
Then the work was then going to be, especially the back or the verso, was going to be surface clean to remove. There's a lot of dust and dirt and stuff like that. The work was then going to be relaxed and pressed so that it lies flat, and there will be a small amount of toning to the abraded areas, and obviously a reinforcement of the tear.
So how long does your work take? Is it over a period of time?
Look, I'd probably do it because I'm going to be working in with you. I need to be able to start a treatment and finish it that day.
Okay.
So I don't want to leave a piece of work wet and not be able to then check on it regularly. So I imagine it would be sort of a few days' work. My first day is just removing the window mount and taking off any excess adhesive and things like that. And then I suppose the next day will probably be the pressing, and then the third would be some sort of toning of the abraded areas and the repairs and.
Great,
things like that.
So we'll have a well-conserved piece of art to put on the wall for our upcoming exhibition.
Yes, absolutely. It's the most beautiful piece.
Yeah, it's a fantastic highlight.
It is.